to expect that the Miami Heat shooters are going to shoot better, that Max Strus is going to knock down some shots, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, that these guys are going to shoot better. Now, Lowry and Gabe Vincent both shot it well. And then the last thing is this. Look, I started the show with this. There has been no answer in these playoffs for Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. That two-man game, there has been no answer. Can Eric Spoelstra come up with something creative, whether it's starting Jimmy Butler on Jokic, or maybe they move Kevin Love into the starting lineup, they figure out different matchups. I don't know what it is, but that has to be priority number one.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, first things first, nobody disagrees. You're absolutely right. They weren't driving the ball to the basket. They were
complaining about the officiating.
If I do say something, will you take the fine?
Of course you have.
We can't even get into that. We can't let them dictate the game. I just feel like we took a lot of jump shots, and we missed a lot of them instead of getting to the basket.
All right, Jay, what must the Heat do to even this series?
Well, I just want to be clear on this free throw discrepancy. The Heat took more jumpers in this game than they have all season. Jimmy Butler had his least amount of drives he's had all season. This was not about the officials. This is about how the Miami Heat played basketball. So for them to even the series, look,
absolutely,
it starts with Jimmy. It starts with Jimmy Butler. It absolutely starts with him. He doesn't have to play perfect, but he's got to be aggressive in the same way he was aggressive in Game 7. That wasn't a perfect game. He took 28 shots. He made 12, but he was assertive. He tried to impose his will. And some of this, look, is Aaron Gordon and Michael
based on their history because of how they got Steph and they've got Clay. We didn't expect that from Miami coming into this postseason because that's not what we saw from them, with the exception of the last week and a half of the season until the postseason arrived. Then the postseason arrived and they really, really started making shots. And we expect that now because that's what it's going to take to beat Denver. I don't think there's anything else that they can do. I really, really don't.
Well, like I said, I want them to go big. I want them to start Kevin Love. I just want to see it out there on the floor. But I thought last night they missed some wide open looks, especially Max Strus. I don't believe he's going to go, 0 for 10, 0 for 11 like he did. He's going to shoot the ball better. But I looked at their pace as well, and the starting unit did not do a great job of actually putting the pace on make or miss shots. And when you go back into that Boston series and you look at Game 1 and Game 2, I was sitting there watching the game, and I'm saying, damn, Miami pushing the pace. Damn, they getting out in transition. Damn, they getting deflections. They getting steals. They're running. And they didn't have that until Kyle Lowry came into the game. And I don't know if it was Van Gundy that was talking about it last night, but he was saying about how when Larry checked in.
Bio is not going to give you much in the post area. You damn sure ain't going to be Cody Zeller. You don't have, and not only that, Jimmy Butler, again, is undersized to some degree. Jokic defended him 1 minute. He shoots 1 of 9 from the field. Hit 3 of his 4 shots against Aaron Gordon. But the bottom line is that's not something you can rely upon in terms of Jimmy Butler going at guys that are bigger than him and really, really being able to do something in the interior. I believe you've got to make perimeter shots. Caleb Martin shoots 1 of 7. Max Strus shoots 0 for 10. That's 1 for 17 shooting. Throw Duncan Robinson's 1 for 6 future performance into the equation. That's 2 for 23. That's not going to cut it. You've got to be able to make shots. If you want to throw Jimmy Butler into the equation, what you're really, really talking about is him being that playmaker, a guy that sets up opportunities for these guys, but is still going to call upon them to really, really drop some buckets, really hit those shots, which is where a guy like Kevin Love could come in because Kendrick Perkins brought that up at the beginning of the show. We know that he's capable of hitting shots from the perimeter. We know that Kevin Love can shoot, even though he struggles statistically at times. Obviously, that's why I had a lot to do with why Cleveland wanted to go in a different direction from him as well, but he's in a better situation now, and we know that. In the end, you don't have the kind of game to attack Denver on the interior. To beat them, you're going to have
those quality looks up because we talk about the size and the length and things to that nature. But again, I'm looking at Jimmy Butler. Game 1, he come out, he hit a pull-up 2, a pull-up 3-point shot. I'm like, oh, okay, he had a quick 5 points. I'm like, he's going to be aggressive. Now, credit to the Denver Nuggets. They did make him struggle when he was driving to the basket, but I thought that he passed up a lot of mid-range shots that were there. And I thought the mid-range shots that he did take last night, he just didn't look confident for some reason. It was almost like he was leaning. It was one on the baseline where I didn't know if it was a jump shot or a floater. Jimmy Butler has to be more aggressive. 14 shot attempts, I believe it was, he had last night. That's not go get it. And I understand he came into the post game and he talked about how he trusts his teammates, and you want to continue to trust in your teammates, but you also want
output, the expected production.
Obviously, we notice because he gets it done a lot more often than not. Chicago, they had a playoff game when D-Wade was his teammate, whether it was when he was in Minnesota and they got to the postseason for the first time in a while, whether it was when he was in Philly or Miami. Haven't we found ourselves on numerous occasions looking at Jimmy Butler and saying, you got to be more aggressive, which is not something we usually have to say about marquee guys?
Well, let me say this. I believe when you look at Jimmy Butler, he doesn't have, in the modern day terms, a deep bag, right? So he doesn't have a bag like a Jamal Murray, where we watching Jamal Murray hit some shots and go between his legs and the fake spin heads and pull-ups. Jimmy Butler don't have that. And if you go back and watch a lot of his games that he have had, those big moments and dropped a 40-piece or a 50-piece, it's a combination of a lot of things. One, going to the low block, abuse.
1.5 points a game, 52% from the field. Since game 1 of the Boston series, we've got 7 games now. He's at 21.5 points per game and shooting 41% from the field. And I know how Jimmy takes care of his body. I know the type of shape he's in. I'm not saying he's getting worn down from this playoff run, but he's got to summon some level of aggressiveness and get to the basket and score. He did have some success when he did shoot in the restricted area. The mid-range pull-ups were off last night. He's got to be a downhill attacker. But those numbers don't lie. He has not been great over the last 7 games.
JJ, Kendrick Perkins, let me ask y'all a question. It's not a debate. I'm throwing it y'all way. Y'all played. We look at Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. Even though playoff Jimmy is real and we get all of that, the level of aggression that we normally see from
don't have to be an argument,
all right,
bro.
It's okay. Okay, I'm just saying.
It's a debate show, Perk.
Using his craftiness, getting out in transition. A lot of his shots get from getting out in transition. His pull-up three, switching the pick and roll. So I understand where you're coming from, Stephen A. When you look at certain guys like, a Steph Curry, a Jamal Murray, a Kevin Durant, a Devin Booker, a Jason Tatum, they got a deeper bag when you look at it on how they get it done for as isolation. Jimmy Buckets, when he go and get buckets, it comes from a combination of a variety of things.
It's a fair question to ask, Stephen A. And I think some of it is just the nature of how Jimmy Butler plays. He tends to be a little more methodical throughout the first 3 quarters, looking for his teammates, probing, and then he gets aggressive down the stretch. We saw that in Game 6 against Boston, where he essentially brought them back and gave them a chance to win. I think about his best games. He has a disposition, 20-plus point quarter in the first and a 20-plus point quarter in the fourth. To me, that's when he's at his best, but that's not the natural way that he has played basketball since he's been in the NBA, particularly with the Miami Heat, where he really feels a necessity to get his teammates going early in the game. I don't think you have the luxury of doing that against these Denver Nuggets. I think he's got to be aggressive to score early.
Got to leave it there.
And that's exactly why I said the role players, that my point was the role players are more important on Miami because of what you both just explained. Mm-hmm. He's not the guy that gives me the ball, I'll take it there. That elevates the responsibility on the part of the role players around somebody like him as opposed to one of those marquee stars we're talking about.
Well, look at you. Look at you. I actually agree with you on that. Going, then that opens up everything. Congratulations.
But hold on, Stephen A.
Thought you would.
Stephen A. Jimmy Butler's a marquee star in the second round, where they relentlessly